the Quinn Marr Show.
My next guest is a Toronto kid who navigated the world of child acting, voice work, and playing one of the most memorable, free-spirited characters on mid-2000s TV. He's done everything from heavy drama to cartoons, proving he can handle anything from emotional storylines to talking bears without breaking a sweat. It is my pleasure to welcome the Quinn Marr Show, Mike DeCenzo. Mike, how's it going?
Hey, Quinn, it's going well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, of course. And so I tell every guest that this is how kind of I do my show is we go back to the beginning of basically their life.
Sure.
So for you growing up around like the Stony Creek, Hamilton area, then eventually Toronto, for me, I only live like 40 minutes from Toronto and I don't get a ton of guests from that area. So this is kind of like different for me. So for you growing up, one, what did your parents do for work?
Yeah, so my mom was a teacher. And my dad had his own business. He did like office furniture and design and stuff like that for commercial offices.
So neither of them have anything to do with like entertaining.
Zero. Yeah, I was the weird kid who just would memorize like movies. I was big. I like grew up in the 90s, so I was big on Jim Carrey movies, Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, Liar Liar, and I would memorize these movies like pretty much to their entirety and like recite them ad nauseum to my parents. And they were like, we don't know what to do. Like, we don't know what this kid is. And so they ended up deciding, I think wisely, to try to channel that into something. And so they put me into theater camp. And to this day, I still know some, not so much the Jim Carrey ones, but recently I recited the Austin Powers, Just the Two of Us rap to my girlfriend, and she was very impressed. So,
oh yeah, I'm sure she wasn't close to breaking up with you.
yeah.
That's unreal. Do you have siblings?
Yes, I have one younger brother who's 6 years younger than me. He is my dad was like sort of more into like the construction and architecture design side of things, and my brother is becoming an architect, so he's definitely the favorite child.
Okay, so like that's
just kidding, by the way. But
you're really the odd one out then, of your family.
I think so. I mean, I guess so. My cousin, I should say, did also do some acting. He was in Degrassi and a show called Ace Lightning and a few other things. And so he and I were sort of the artsy fartsy ones. And I also should say that, you know, my brother did a couple of little things. Like he dipped his toe into acting when he was really young. He was on like the Rick Mercer show for like an episode or two, and then he did a guest spot on Naturally Sadie.
Oh, no way.
So yeah, but it wasn't for him. I mean, it's really not for everyone, but
right.
But yeah, so I guess between the three of us, there was some creative stuff going on.
Right. So what's your cousin's name? You said he was in Degrassi?
Yeah, Mark Minardi. He was in. Sorry, Mark, I don't remember, but I think a couple of seasons. Lucas, I believe, was his character's name.
Lucas. Okay. I think, would that be the newer seasons?
Yes, I want to say. I mean, well, he's older than me, so it might have been in like. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I didn't watch a lot of Degrassi.
I'll do some research afterwards to check them out. That's funny though.
Yeah.
So for before like you got put in like to the theater stuff just because your parents were like, hey, we got to do something with him.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about like you like memorizing lines and doing all that. So was it in your mind always some sort of entertaining, or like were you into sports? Were you like the school kid? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I was like kind of a floater in terms of like who did I hang out with? Like I wasn't like memorizing these movies as an 8-year-old being like, I want to be an actor. Like it was just what I did.
Yeah.
And I liked making my parents smile, and like they would be like, hey, you know, when they would have friends over, they'd be like, hey, Mike, show them the thing, and I'd do the thing. So it was like, I guess it was like sort of a little entertaining without really knowing it. But then as I got older, I mean, when I was in I think I was 10 when I did my first theater production at Theater Aquarius, which is like in Hamilton, sort of like a where I did the theater camp. So I guess really since I was a kid, I was into entertaining. But I wouldn't say like in high school or anything, I was like in the theater crew. Like I was sort of a floater. I played soccer. I had like a bunch of my buddies were like football players. But then also I would like hang out with, the theater kids, but then also I would jump into like, we had a foosball table in our caf. So I played foosball with like the druggies and all the nerds. And like, so it was really like, I didn't really fit into a particular clique, I guess.
I've found that like some like child actors and just people that were like actors in general, they might have been like the entertainment in like their house, but when they got to school, they were like silent. Were you like that, or were you kind of like still more outgoing when you were in school and stuff? Because like to me, like nothing was better, and I've said this before, nothing better to me was like a better feeling than making like a whole class laugh. I mean, to my own detriment, it was being a dick to the teacher, probably like
Yeah.
annoying the teacher to get laughs from my classmates. But that was kind of like my feeling of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would qualify as the class clown, but like, I definitely loved making the class laugh. I mean, that was making people laugh was always fun for me. That's part of the reason I started doing stand up. I started doing stand up in my first time. I was my grade 12 talent show. I did stand up.
No way.
Which was a horrible decision. Probably.
That's tough. Trying that in high school, especially in grade 12, that's tough.
Yeah. The funny thing is, it went okay, and then it gave me the courage to sort of do it again. And then when I did it again the next time, I bombed. Like it was like at a real comedy club. I think it was probably Yuck Yucks or maybe it was at a university show or something. But I bombed horribly the second time. And then the third time I did really well again. So I was kind of like 50-50.
Yeah.
But it was enough for me to like get really excited to keep doing it. So I did stand up as well for a few years. And then I sort of realized that a lot of my stand up, like my best bits, were two people having a conversation with each other that I would act out.
Okay.
So then I sort of came to the realization, I was like, oh, I'm just writing scenes. And so that's sort of how I started down the path of like becoming a writer.
Okay, no, that's cool. I like that. And then, I mean, at least for you, I know it's different, but when you're doing these stand-up things, like stand-up routines in like grade 12, let's say, you already had a bunch of like, I don't want to say credit. I guess it would be credit, but like you had like the experience of like performing in front of people already. So I am sure that probably helped a little bit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit probably. It's a very different thing.
Yeah.
Like I started doing theater when I was like 10, like I said, and the first production I did, I had no lines, so it was really easy. I just got to like be on stage and like do nothing, and then go wait for my turn to go back on stage and like play Pokemon Yellow or whatever. And so that was like a really easy way in. But then shortly after that, I did another theater production called Who Has Seen the Wind, also at Theater Aquarius, where I had a lot of lines. And so that was really, I guess, my first foray into like live performance. And it got me used to doing that from an early age. And you would think that meant that like when I did stand up, I didn't get nervous, but I did. I would still get nervous. I would get nervous, but then as soon as I got the first laugh, I would relax, and then I could get into it.
I feel like with stand-up though, because it's all up to you. You wrote the jokes. You're delivering the jokes. I think that's a lot different than, of course, obviously the theater where you're being told what to say and like you're practicing a lot with other people. You're kind of bouncing off one another. So yeah, I guess when you're all by yourself and it's all up to you, that's going to be different.
Yeah, for sure. It's a different art form, different vibe. But the theater stuff is really the foundation for me of like how I got into the more TV and film and animation stuff. So that really, I credit that as kind of like the thing that really sparked my love for this crazy business.
So obviously you're doing your theater, you're doing the performances and everything. So then how do you get into something like Super Rupert? To the actual like on-screen type thing, because I don't know much about like Toronto, like in like the early 2000s, late 90s for acting, but I'm sure it wasn't the easiest thing in the world to book gigs.
Yeah, I mean, I was so sheltered from that. I was a kid, right? So I'm
True.
there's like, you don't really know, you don't really see that business side of it when you're a kid. I mean, when I did that play, Who Has Seen the Wind, one of the other actors in it was Noah Reed, who went on to do Schitt's Creek and a bunch of other stuff. And his agent happened to be in the audience. And so I guess she had come to watch him, and she saw me perform. And then she approached me after the show and was like, do you have an agent? And I didn't. So that's how I got an agent. And then from there, she sort of would just send me out on auditions. I did like hundreds of auditions, most of which I didn't get. And I got to give a lot of credit to my parents, who would drive me out to Toronto all the time to like do these dumb auditions that sometimes lasted 15 seconds, you know, and yeah, so a lot of time was spent going on auditions that I didn't get. A lot of casting directors were, you know, I don't know if mean is the word, but like, you know, it's like a harsh industry. You have to like be able to like handle the rejection and be able to handle critical feedback. And like, that's kind of hard when you're 9.
I was just going to say that, like, how do you build that thick skin then?
I think the thing is, at the time, like, it didn't really bother me because there was no stake. The stakes weren't high for me. It's like, I didn't need to pay the grocery bill. Right. And so like, I could get away with, like not having that same level of like anxiety around, oh, I have this audition. I was just having fun. And Super Rupert was a show. It's a YTV show, sort of to loop back to your actual question, was a YTV show that I auditioned for. And it was really fun character because I was like, I was maybe 11 and I was quite short, still am, but especially at that time. And I was the bully character. So I was bullying all these kids who were like way bigger than me.
Which I don't see. I can't see that. I can't see you as a bully character. I think maybe because I see you as Rain on Naturally Sadie, but I don't see bully in you.
Well, you should go watch Super Rupert. I'm sure
I know what I'm doing tonight now.
Yeah, I'm sure it's on YouTube or something.
Yeah, everything's on there.
Yeah. But it was really fun. It was a really silly show. I remember that like I had some really great moments where I was like, you know, the trench coat thing where like, you know, guys would like flash people in the trench coat and stuff. I had a version of that as an 11-year-old where I had like a trench coat full of like Pepsi and like Nestea or something because the school banned pop, and I was like on the streets like selling pop, you know. So I had a bunch of
kid from Recess.
Pardon?
The hustler kid in the show Recess. He would always have like, I remember one episode where it was raining for a week, so they never got to go outside for recess, and they're going crazy. And he opened up his jacket and he's selling blades of grass and leaves just because the kids were going nuts.
Same idea. We probably stolen from
Recess.
But yeah, so I got to do a bunch of fun, like weird stuff on that show, and it really just reinforced like how fun it was to do that kind of stuff. And yeah, from there I did some animation, a few feature films, and then many auditions later, I got Naturally Sadie.
Now I want to take a backseat before we get Naturally Sadie. Is it Khaled or Khalid?
Khaled, yeah.
Khaled. Okay, so neither. I clearly can't read. Anyways, so for that one, and you play the main character on that, and for those who don't know, it was about a young kid who lives with his drug-addicted mother who ends up dying. You're in foster care a bunch, etc. And again, I think you were 10 years old at the time.
Yeah, around there. I think I was 11, and then right as the movie was wrapping up, I turned 12.
Okay.
And 12 is the age at which you're allowed to do overtime. So on my very last day, they made me do overtime.
Yes, we're going to keep this here for 24 hours. Perfect. Yeah. So, I mean, dude, that's a heavy storyline for an 11-year-old. So I don't know if maybe you were naive to it because you were young, but like, did you feel the heaviness of that plot at all?
No, I was in it, man. I was fully aware. I read the script. I'd worked with the director quite a bit. I knew the material was very different from the kinds of things that I'd done. You know, I mean, I was only 11 or whatever, but like the few things that I had done and like the comedy stuff that I was watching all the time was like, this was a very different world. But I don't know. I feel like it was also an indie movie, so it was like pretty low budget, pretty collaborative in terms of like all the crew, small crew who all knew each other would like chime in on things, and there was a really good director, Asghar Masambagi, who I'll never forget this. I had a scene where I had to cry in the movie, and I was a little nervous about it because I'd never like cried on screen before. And this director pulled me into this room before we did the take, and he said, "Mike, I would never ask you to do something that I couldn't do myself." And he just sat there and started bawling in front of me, and then he was like, "All right, I think you're ready to do the take." And then we did the take, and we did it on the first take.
Wow.
So it was like I have to really give a lot of credit to the people around me, because I think they really helped me understand the material and helped me and pulled things out of me in a way that I think would have probably been hard for just a 10-year-old to do on their own.
So, I mean, again, that's a tough storyline. So, like, would you ever, I know this is going to sound silly, would you ever take that home with you? Like, would you be like done for the day and be like, still feel like sad that your fake mom died, or you know what I mean?
Honestly, no.
Okay. See, I knew that'd be a silly question, because like that is just like, it's a little odd. You know what I mean? Like, it's not normal. So that's why I'm like, would you still feel that? Which is good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can definitely see how kids, especially when they're like young and impressionable, could be affected by that kind of thing. But I think for me, I was so in it, and I was so aware of like filmmaking already, that I was more thinking about like, okay, this is my close up. Like, I have to do a good job on this one because this is my close up. Or like, oh, I'm off camera, so like I still want to do a good job for like the person whose close up it is. Like, I was thinking more along those lines. Like, and also my dead mom would wake up after every take, right? So
I'm sure then you'd have a conversation. That's true.
Yeah. So we were cool, but yeah, no, it didn't really. I don't think it like affected me in that way.
Right, and I saw it was Canada's top 10 of that year at TIFF.
Oh, was it? That's awesome. Yeah, I knew it went to TIFF. I didn't know it was at the top 10, but
did you go to TIFF yourself or no?
Yes, when it came out. I mean, you asked me to go back like 20 something years now, but yeah, I did. I definitely did go to some screenings. I did some TIFF stuff, and funny enough, I reconnected with the producer recently, and he told me that they're going to do a 4K version of it, and possibly do a re-release screening. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I might go do a little Q&A for that at some point.
That's really cool. Yeah, because I guess it would have already passed, or it would have been past the 25, or just about to be 25 years, because it's 2001.
Jeez.
So it's 2001. So it's coming up to 25 years.
Crazy. Yeah.
What are you a 90, like 1990s baby? Exactly.
1990. Yeah.
90. Okay. So your brother and I are the same age. Your brother's 96.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Him and I are the same age. It's funny. There's two things I always think is so impressive for actors. It's crying on command and just accents in general. Have you ever been an accent guy? Like, some people can just turn it on. It's crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm an accent guy. And I like, for the most part now, I don't like, most of the acting that I did was when I was a kid. I do much less of it now, but there was a role on a show called, it was like a mini series, I think, called Cinderella and Me. Mm-hmm. Might also have been called I Was a Rat.
Oh my God, I was just going to bring up I Was a Rat. I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah. So I did have to do an accent on that. I worked with an accent coach. It was like a Cockney accent. I think that was probably the only time I had to seriously do an accent. I think I've probably done silly accents over the years, but that was the only time I had to like work with an accent coach.
Right. It's so funny because I was just going to say something a little less serious was the show I Was a Rat, and you played Hocus was your character. And it had some like,
oh my God,
big names I recognize on there, like Callum Worthy, who later was in Austin and Ally, and then The Act about Gypsy Rose, and then Brenda Fricker. So I Married an Axe Murderer, and most notably to me, she was Pigeon Lady in Home Alone 2. So
no way.
I know,
I didn't even know that.
I know. I know it was literally only one episode. Do you remember anything about I Was a Rat? I guess about the whole accent thing too, right?
Yeah, I remember the accent thing. I remember it was like me, oh man, I'm sorry, other kid. I don't remember your name. It was me, another kid who I think went on to do a bunch of acting, and then also Mike Sarah were the three. Were the three, like, I forget what our characters were called, but we were like the three kids. And I remember we were filming outside. We were freezing our little butts off. I don't remember much beyond that.
Where did it film? Do you remember?
It was in Toronto, but
Okay.
I don't remember where. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, that would have been the second time I think I worked with Mike Sarah, so I knew him. So we would just have fun and hang out on set, waiting for our turn to be on camera, and then. But yeah, honestly, dude, I don't remember too much about it. It was
a while ago.
a while,
dude.
while ago.
I don't blame you. Another show it was like a one episode you did was I Love Mummy. What do you remember about that show?
Oh my god, dude, you're making me pull out the deep files.
That's what I'm here for, man. That's why I'm having you on to talk about this stuff.
Yeah. I Love Mummy was I played Tilford was my character's name, and he was just kind of a shit disturber. It was like I did a lot of these like what they call day players. So like day players are like you show up for like a few days to like be a sort of secondary character in a show. I did it on that one. I did it on some cartoons. I did it on a show called oh god, what was it called? Not Glimmer. Glimmer is what it used to be called. The Latest Buzz.
Yes.
So where you would sort of pop in for like a day or two or a couple days and like do like a guest spot or whatever on a show. And yeah, I Love Mummy was this insane show about a kid who had a mummy in his attic or something, and I was like the kid that they were babysitting for that episode, and just a shit disturber.
I love it. That's so funny. When I was a kid, like I remember like a few main toys that I had that was like just in my head, and I was always playing with. And one of them was a Rescue Heroes tower, which in the show they had that big tower. And I was
I had the same thing.
No way! What are the odds? So then you did an episode of Rescue Heroes, and you played a young Oliver Waters. So I mean, I'm assuming you played with Rescue Heroes before you're on it, or was it?
I think maybe my brother had it because it might have been. It might have just been around my house, but I remember having like a Rescue Heroes, like one of those, that big tall thing.
Yeah, it's the tower.
Yeah. Again, that was like kind of a day player role where I popped in, I did some voices, and I popped out. So honestly, I don't remember too much about it.
Was that your first time doing voice acting, Rescue Heroes?
Honestly, I don't know. I did some voice acting on a show called Hoobs, which I would just, again, day player stuff. I had like a good relationship, sorry, with a casting director. Sorry, one sec.
It's okay. I don't want to kill you while we're on here. Then I have
no, that's okay.
Actual recorded footage that it happened.
No, that's all good. So yeah, I had a good relationship with a casting director who did animation. So sometimes she would just call me in to do like one or two voices or something. So I'd done a handful of those.
All around the same time?
Yeah, all around the same time. It was like Hoobs, Rescue Heroes,
the Blob
Super Y. Super Y was really kind of cool for me because I did just, again, day player roles on Super Y. I think it was a Prince or something. And Super Y being like a preschool show that helps kids to read. And then just this past year, they remade Super Y and like they did a remake of it, and I wrote a bunch of episodes for it. So
that's cool.
It was a really cool full circle moment for me.
When like getting into voice acting that young, while you were originally already on screen and doing theater and anything, how besides the obvious, how different is that doing that?
Yeah, it's nicer in a way. It's like you pop in, you pop out. You're in the booth. You're in a booth for like a couple hours, and then you're done. It was like a really good. It was a good gig for a 13-year-old or whatever. Different kind of acting. You have to be aware of different things, and your performance changes when it's just your voice. But yeah, it was just as fun. I mean, it was all fun. It was all just like having fun, doing crazy voices, doing crazy stuff. And it was really just like, I guess, different in the sense that you don't have to show up for the long days, the long hours. You don't have to memorize lines. The lines are sort of right there in front of you. You have to think about different things too. Like when you're talking to a mic, you have to think about your plosive sounds, for example, like those hard P's and B's and things like that, and soften them so that they sound good on mic. Now, that was years ago, so maybe they don't have to do that stuff anymore. Maybe they've figured it out technically where they just get around all that stuff. But there were little things like that you had to think about. And then I did like one season of Berenstain Bears, which funny, again, not to come back to Mike Sarah, but he was the original Brother Bear.
Yes.
And then I guess his voice, maybe he got too famous or his voice changed or something. And then I ended up taking over for him. And then I think I only did one season, and then my voice changed, and then someone ended up taking over for me. So it's like, when you're a kid, you have to be, it really, it happens quick because things take a long time to animate and get produced. And so if your voice changes and you can't like get that childlike demeanor back, they end up having to recast.
Like I would say I pride myself on like research and like knowing certain things about like, I mean, nostalgia being one of them, because I always say no one misses being a kid more than me. But when I found out that Michael Cera was Brother Bear at one point when I was doing research the other day, I was shocked. I was like, no way. It's kind of like Noah Reed being in Schitt's Creek and stuff, that he was also Franklin. I only found that out a few months ago.
Right.
Turtle. So
Yeah.
I've talked to a few people that have done voice acting before that actually had to take over characters from other kids.
Mm-hmm.
For you, were you told to kind of try to sound like Michael, or did they kind of say, "Hey, you have at it. You tell us how you think Brother Bear sounds like"?
I don't think they ever said try to sound like Michael. I think I auditioned, and they probably gave me direction in the audition. Whether that direction was like geared towards sounding like Michael or not, I'm not sure. But a big part of it is like being able to take direction. And so if they were like, could you say it a little more like this, or try it like more like that? Like I would just sort of do what they asked. And I think that's like such a big part of it for anyone who actually wants to do voice acting, is like being able to take direction is like 82% of the thing. It's like if you can't take direction, it doesn't matter how cool or good your voice is, like no one will want to work with you. So like being able to take direction was a big thing. And I think I was good at that part of it.
Did you know of the Berenstain Bears beforehand? Like the
books
and everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, that was like one of like the most known cartoons of when I was a kid. So I'm sure for you, for the books and everything, it would have been the same for you.
Yeah, I definitely was familiar with the books. I had the books, and then when I got the part, I think I bought a few more just to make sure that I had a sense of the show. And but yeah, it was fun.
I want to go back quickly because I mean sometimes IMDb can be a little iffy whenever I've done this. I've done enough of these that like I know sometimes not always to trust them. On there that you were on one of those like short commercial on Disney Channel of Express Yourself, where like they talk about the stars from Disney shows talk about their favorite food, having whatever, and I cannot find yours. So can you explain that to me?
It definitely exists. I mean,
you were on it.
Yeah, it definitely exists. We were they flew us to LA to do that, and it got buried in the archives or something, but it definitely exists. I remember. Yeah, we went and did that.
Do you remember what yours was about? Like, was yours about your favorite food or hanging out with your friends? Like,
yeah, they asked those kinds of questions, right? Like, it was just like, what do you like to do for fun? I remember there was like this, I don't know why I remember this, but there was this ledge with like a fish or something painted on it, and they were like, do something silly. And I like, I was like swimming with the fish or something.
Be whimsical for us, please.
Yeah.
Dance puppet. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've been trying for days to find it, and I can't. And there's so many of them. I forgot it. There were so many of them, like Shia LaBeouf and Raven and Hilary Duff. And I was like, I need to find Mike's. I couldn't. So,
yeah. I want to say there was other people there. Like, I think when we filmed it, there were other. I don't remember who. It might have been Zach and Cody or someone. There was like some other,
no way,
like Family Channel or Disney Channel folks who were doing it there either right after us or right before us. But yeah, it's definitely. I mean, don't look too hard for it.
I'm not going to sleep now until I find it.
Definitely exists somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not worth losing sleep over.
So after you did Berenstain Bears, I know sometimes like the years can kind of like blend together, but like then you did more voice acting. So you did Atomic Betty, and then you did Heidi as well. So after Berenstain Bears and like more voice acting, were you like, hey, I want to do way more of this, or was it just kind of it came up? You're like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, or did you seek those out? Again, I know you're a kid, so I don't know how much seeking you were doing, but
Yeah, I did. Wasn't doing much seeking. I was doing a lot of wait by the phoning until my agent would call and tell me you have an audition for this or that. So it was really not in my control. I wasn't in a position to be like, I only want to do, it's comedy now. Like I was just kind of like whatever came my way.
yeah.
That's sort of what I would do.
Um, when you do voice work, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question. When you do voice work for different productions, like obviously Atomic Betty, for example, and Berenstain Bears, different production companies, different channels, etc.
Mhm.
Does it come with like different standards or rules from the higher ups or the people giving you that direction, or is it kind of about the same? The only difference is obviously the characters.
I mean, every show is different. Every show has its own needs and teams working on it. A lot of the times, the casting directors, like, there's only a handful of them. So, like, a lot of the times, you'd be working with the same casting director or voice director. So, a lot of times, I would go in to do a day player on Hoobs, and then I would work with the same person to do, Rescue Heroes or whatever. And like, so you get to know kind of the people, and they get to know you, and you get to work with them in a way that's sort of close knit, and so you don't feel like it's all that different. At least from my perspective, it sort of just felt like, oh, this is just like another character or another show. I'm sure there was a ton of stuff behind the scenes that like I was just insulated from, but
Yeah.
yeah, it never felt like, oh, this is a crazy different thing.
Right. It must have felt nice, so at least at that point, like, hey, I'm doing more than one episode here, one episode here. Like you had, I think it was like 14 episodes of Berenstain Bears. You had over 5 or 6 episodes of Atomic Betty. So you must have felt like, hey, like I'm progressing. I'm hitting these steps of like they're not bringing me in for 1 day or 2 days. It's like, hey, see you later. We'll see you another time, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it never really felt like that. It never really felt like, oh, my career is progressing. Like when you're 12 or whatever, it's like,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it was just like fun. It was just like, oh, I'm doing fun stuff. I get to
Did you
I get to get out of school early today to go do a little cartoon or whatever.
did you have buddies that were doing the same thing like from school, or was it kind of like you met friends while doing it?
No, not a lot of buddies would do it. My cousin, as I said, Mark would started shortly after me, so we could talk about stuff and connect
Relate.
over some of that, but yeah, not too many. I mean, I would meet other kids in the auditions, so that's where I would, or on the show or in the animated little waiting room before we go into our booth or whatever. And back then, a lot of the time you would do it by yourself. Now, I think sometimes they do more like group sessions where they'll have like 4 or 5 actors in a room and you read the lines like, as a, like, I'll say this line, you say this line, like you actually read the script. Whereas for me, most of the time I was by myself and I would just read my lines. Yeah, I don't know if that's the case anymore, but
I heard recently that they now do chemistry reads for voiceover work, which I think is kind of crazy. I mean, you would know better than me, like being in the behind the scenes of that part now of the business. But like, do you see a pro why they would do chemistry reads together for voiceovers?
yeah, definitely. I mean, especially if you're going to be if you're recording in such a way where everyone's in the room, you want to be able to have a sense of like the chemistry and how the voices sound together. So I can understand why they would do that. I had to do a couple of chemistry reads, mostly for like live action stuff.
Yeah.
I auditioned for, I remember one audition I did. I was the first person there and the last to leave, which is really unusual. So like I was there for many hours. And it was for a movie called Kidnapping Grapes, which I think, and I could be very wrong about this, but I think ended up becoming some other bigger movie. It was supposed to be with Alan Arkin, but then Alan Arkin dropped out. But anyway, the point was, I went to this audition, and I guess they liked me, and then they also like wanted to find the other kids and see the kind of chemistry. So they would keep having me go back in the room to audition with different kids that they liked, because I guess they knew, oh, okay, we're gonna take Mike, so let's see how Mike does with this other kid. And then they're like, oh, we like this other kid, let's see how they both do with this other kid. So there was like, but that was really rare. I mean, usually you would just do your audition, you get in, you get out. But I remember for that one, I was there forever. And they end up having to pay you a little bit when you stay past an hour or something. So that was nice. But
you were the example, which is that's cool.
You know what? I don't remember everything. I'm sure there was like, I wasn't the only one who had to stay, but like,
hey, don't be humble now. That's sick.
No. I mean, it's a movie never got made, so it's not that sick.
Still, they for the movie that they were gonna make, they knew that they wanted you to be the guy, so that's still cool.
I was one of the contenders for sure. Yeah. It was fun. It was it was less nerve-wracking, I think, than it. Like, I experienced less nerves than I think I should have. Like, because it was just fun. I was just like a kid having fun.
Yeah, exactly. Now, moving into one of my favorite Family Channel shows, and that's Naturally Sadie.
Thanks, man.
You played Rain. And now when I think of Family Channel, like in my, like, I think the mid 2000s, to me, a Family Channel, Radio Free Roscoe was a little bit before, but I would say like Naturally Sadie, Life with Derek, like that kind of like same group. So for you, obviously, you, like I said, you play Rain. And for those who don't know, the show's about a 14-year-old named Sadie who just like loves wildlife, and it's kind of, she blends wildlife and nature into her everyday life. So I want to hear about like your audition story for Naturally Sadie as Rain, because oftentimes I hear of actors auditioning for one character but then booking another character. Was that the case for you, or was it always Rain?
That's happened to me before, but for Rain, it was always Rain. Yeah, I went into the audition. I think I did 3 auditions for that one. Dude, I remember so little about that, but I just remember actually, one thing I do remember about it was I think after my second or third audition, and this is so, like, I'm not big into like superstition or any of that kind of stuff, but this was, it really sticks out in my mind, where after the audition, I felt like it went well. They were laughing in the room, and usually that's a good sign if you can make like the director laugh and stuff. So I felt good about it, but and then afterwards, my parents took me to go get lunch at Wendy's, of all places. And for some reason, and I should say, to preface this, that the Rain's full name is Rainbow. And so we walk into this Wendy's, and like right after the audition, and for some reason they had some promotion or something, and they had this massive rainbow, like balloon rainbow. And I was like, dude, I got the part. Like I was like, that's sick. It. So that's the thing I remember. I don't remember much about the audition itself. I remember the first one was probably just with the casting director, and then the second and third were with, the directors and the producers and so on would show up once after the first one. Yeah, and you would do a scene or two. I would always memorize my lines. A lot of actors like hold the script during auditions, but I would always try to memorize my lines. Because I think, especially when you're a kid, you like want to prove that you can actually memorize lines. Like, that's an important part of the job. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I can't remember much more than that.
You believe it's been almost 20 years since that show came out?
It's surreal. It's surreal. Time flies.
It's crazy. Did you do any chemistry reads? Talking about chemistry reads with like Charlotte or Jasmine?
I think we did. I think with Charlotte and Jasmine and Justin, who played Hal.
Yep.
I think we did an on-camera chemistry read. But it really didn't register that much to me, because I think very quickly after we just started making it.
Fair. I love in the first, I went and rewatched a few episodes the other day, and like one of the first scenes of Rain, like such a mid 2000s Canadian thing, when you're playing video games, but you're literally playing like space pinball on your computer. I was like, I love it. Instead of like some people are playing like Nintendo or at the maybe PS2 at the time, you know what I mean? And yeah, your character's playing pinball on his computer. So just a little thing I laughed about the other day while watching. How much of Rain obviously came from the script? I'm sure a ton, but like later on, did you kind of start bringing more to the table as Rain? Because it did last 65 episodes, so I mean there was enough time for you to do so if allowed, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, I actually just talked about this a little on my podcast, but so the show is interesting because the first season was very different from the second and third season. A different writer came in on season 2 and sort of tweaked things in such a way where it became more a more of a tween show. Like the first season was very skewed younger, I would say. It was like more about nature and like being silly and like all that stuff. And then sort of season 2, 3 sort of became more about like, oh, like Sadie thinks this boy is cute and like more tweeny kind of stuff. And so there was definitely a transition there from like how you're acting in season 1 versus 2 and 3. So that's how the writing, I think, affected that. And then for me, Rain was sort of like a version of me that was like exaggerated, like a turned up version of me, which is why I found it so probably easy to play. Because it was like, I was just, I would take like my silliness or my over the topness or my enthusiasm and just like crank it to 11. And that's sort of, but then the nice thing too was though, in especially in the later seasons, like season 3 in particular, I think there was like some really potent scenes where it was like, I got to turn that dial down. And like, I remember there was a scene with Shanae Grimes, who went on to do a bunch of great stuff, 90210 and a bunch of other stuff. But there was a great scene with her where her character was like too cool for me and I was kind of a dork. And she like rejected me romantically or whatever. And I like had this whole speech about how I was a great guy and like she would be lucky to be with me. And it was like, it really was nice to be able to turn that like silliness crank down a little bit and like do like, pull a little bit from the Khaled stuff where it was like just more serious. So it was nice. I got to do a balance of different stuff. I got to, dye my hair green and wear a rock star shirt and do all this weird, get pies in the face and do all this like goofy stuff, or milkshakes on my head or whatever it was. But then I also got to do these really cool little moments that were like, that felt more sincere and special. So it was a really cool mix.
And the way you're saying about like how different it felt from season 1 to season 2, that like if it stayed the way it was, that may not have happened for Rain. Like he would have always just been goofy the entire time. It sounds like.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know what direction those original writers would have taken it, but yeah, it definitely like felt younger. And then like season 2 and 3 felt a little bit older.
Now, in your mind, like, what do you think it was that like kept the show going for over 60 episodes? Because like being the viewer, I don't think that happened a ton on Family Channel. Like, obviously, I was getting a lot of Disney Channel type shows, Disney Channel shows coming to Family Channel. So like I was seeing the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody's, the That's So Ravens, etc. But like I know Life with Derek did it, but it wasn't a ton that were doing that, like Canadian-based shows.
Yeah, it was a really different time. This is like. I'm sure the show was doing well enough that it justified making more seasons. I don't know what the ratings were or whatever, but like back then ratings really mattered. And so I'm sure the show did reasonably well. Otherwise they wouldn't have kept making it. But there's also this thing called syndication where back in the day you needed to get to 65 episodes for the show to go into syndication, which I think is like, has something to do with reruns or the ability to sell it internationally or some other thing. So like financially, it made a lot of sense for them to get to 65 episodes. But I think they would only do that if the show was, doing reasonably well in the ratings and so on. So it must have done okay.
Were you getting to a point at any time before like the show actually came to an end where you're like, hey, I think I'm outgrowing this character in this show?
No, dude,
I can do this forever.
I would have done that for 100 years. I mean,
really?
It was so fun. It was really, really tough when it ended because the whole crew and the cast were so close. and we made it. I was just thinking about it today because I knew we were going to talk about this today, and I was like, man, it was so funny back then. The camera team, because this was 2005 or whatever, like when Halo came out, and like the camera team set up like a LAN, and we'd have like 7 or 8 like screens set up, and at lunch we would all go play Halo together. Like it was just like,
That's cool.
it was like a really cool little family vibe that we had going on. And so when it ended, we were all like, at least for me, it was like, oh man, it's like sucks. Like I wish I could keep doing this. So yeah, it was. I would have kept doing it forever, but at some point, a show's done. You don't want the show to get stale or to, 65 was probably enough.
Now, and to me, I feel like not a lot of shows get a proper ending, and I think Naturally Sadie did, with obviously Sadie going to Africa and you going to summer camp with your girlfriend, kind of. How was that ending presented to you guys when it came time for it?
Yeah, it was just it came as a script, and then what they do is they give you revisions over time. So like we probably got that script ahead of time, and then they would send through revisions. We would do a table read. So I was really aware of what was going to happen, and just tried to do it justice.
Did Rain get the proper ending in your mind?
I think so. I mean, the show's called Naturally Sadie. You gotta give Sadie the
big one,
but Rain, I think he got his due.
Yeah. It was such a Rain way to end it too, like him being silly with the whole canoe thing and everything, and just the whole summer camp in general with his girlfriend. Now it's like, this is like the generic reboot question. If there was a reboot tomorrow, what do you think Rain would be up to in 2025?
Oh, dude, that's a really good one. I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, I think his personality wasn't that far from I mean, maybe he'd be doing a podcast. I mean,
there you go.
You never know. I think he'd be doing something creative. I think he was destined for a creative thing, which sort of how I feel.
Right. One thing I find really interesting about Naturally Sadie, like we talked about the whole express yourself and like the Family Channel, Disney Channel thing. I can't believe that you got to do one of the Disney Channel wand commercials. That is so sick. When I found that, I'm like, no way. Like that was something like growing up, I'm like, oh my God, that'd be the coolest thing in the world. So was that kind of tied into the express yourself, or was that totally different time?
No, that was tied in. That was, we went to LA. We all did the little
I'm
Disney
Mike
or whatever.
DeCenzo, and you're watching Disney Channel.
Yeah.
That's so sick.
It's crazy that you found that. I'm sure that's buried deep in the archive somewhere.
I searched you up, like just your name straight on YouTube, and that same video came up twice. Two different accounts have posted it, so it's like one of the first things when you search up your name.
That's so funny. I'm scared to Google that, but
the last Naturally Sadie question I got is it's kind of on that reboot question. If they were to bring back the show and they said to you like, hey, like Mike, do you want to come back and do it? What's your answer?
Yeah, I would do it. I think it'd be fun. I know they did a reboot of Life with Derek.
The movie.
It was maybe a movie.
It was a movie, and I'm not a fan. I've had Danny Maggs on this podcast a couple times who played Edwin. Him and and Jordy, who played Lizzie. And yeah, I'm not a fan of it just because they were missing a ton of the main characters.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, the reboots are hard. I think it's tricky to do them, and it's tricky because the audience who actually is familiar with the brand is like, our age. So it's like, are they going to watch another thing? And also, I'm pretty sure Family Channel's gone now. So like, I don't know where it would go.
I can't believe that. I was actually like sad. It was a couple months ago when they announced it. I'm like, this is depressing. Like Family Channel was my show. I think it was either number 51 or 52, like on like
51, I think.
51.
Yeah.
And like, it was Family Channel, YTV, and Teletoon. Like those were my three I watched all the time. And I'm sure you're in the same boat. So yeah, I was like genuinely sad when I heard Family Channel was like done.
Yeah. Different times.
Yeah, and I'm also surprised. I mean, I know it's a Family Channel show, but like it being like on Disney Channel as much as it was, I'm surprised it's not on Disney Plus. I know they'd have to like buy the rights and everything, but still, I am surprised.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why that's the case or how that works. I know it was DHX Media who produced it. Back then it was called Decode. Now it's called Wild Brain. So it's
Yeah.
gone through a bunch of different iterations. But when it comes to all the rights and all the, who knows?
I'm petitioning for Naturally Sadie to be on Disney Plus.
That'd be cool.
You were talking about the latest buzz, and like for those who don't know, it's about a show about kids that like run like a newspaper, like after school program.
Yeah.
And in this episode, you play yourself type thing?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, it was the writer. So the writer who took over in season 2 and 3 also was the writer on the latest buzz. So I had a relationship with him. He knew me, and he wanted to just bring me in to do a guest spot on the show. And I mean, it's like I'm playing myself. I'm playing like a sort of sunglass wearing, leather jacket version of myself. Like I had lines. It wasn't like I just showed up and that's who I was. Like it was like
your
a character. Yeah. I was like a character that's sort of kind of a mic that's like cranked up to 11 a little bit.
Yeah.
But that was just fun. It was fun because it was shot in the same school as Naturally Sadie was shot in, and a lot of the crew just carried over. So I got to see a lot of my old friends again. So it was really fun.
Oh, that is cool. And then the last thing before, like I've kind of noticed like a bit of a gap was Charlie Bartlett, and you played Scott. So it's about a rich kid that becomes like the psychiatrist for the school. And this stars, I think, a pre-Iron Man Robert Downey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I think it came out the same year as Iron Man or year before. And then Kat Dennings, and then there's also some Degrassi alumni on there as well. Lauren Collins, Jake Epstein, Drake. So what was the story between Charlie Bartlett for you as Scott?
Yeah, again, it was like one of those. I'm not sure if it was quite a day player. Like I think I was in for a few days maybe, but they hire. It was an American movie, and then I think when you come to Canada to film, there's like some incentives to hire Canadians for certain parts or something. So they ended up doing like auditions locally, and then myself, and then as you mentioned, a bunch of Degrassi folks and some other people got like these sort of bit parts in the movie. So I played a kid who was receiving advice or something from Charlie, who was like this sort of pseudo psychiatrist character who was like giving kids like Xanax or something. And it was really fun. It was cool to a lot of those people. I didn't work on Degrassi, so I got to meet a lot of those people for the first time. It was another really fun experience on set. It was very quick, probably 2 or 3 days. I didn't get to meet Robert, sadly, but I don't think he was there for those days, but it was fun.
Now, besides 2 episodes of voice work on Super Y, there's an acting gap between Charlie Bartlett and then the TV version of Hotel Transylvania in 2019. So at that point, had you kind of come to the decision that you didn't want to act or be on screen anymore? Because I know you ended up going to McMaster University. So was that at that time?
Yeah, I mean, when I went to Mac, I started to like pull back from the acting. I wanted to like focus on university, and that's when I started to get into stand-up. And then after stand-up, I started to realized that I had this interest in writing, like I talked about before. And so I actually got a job in development, which at Decode DHX Media. And so I wanted to learn about how shows get made, how shows get written. And so I started my sort of behind the scenes journey around that time. And since then I had been doing, that was like maybe 2014 or something. So for the last like 10 years, I've been really doing like script coordinating, writing, production coordinating. So I've written about 30 something episodes of television at this point, and worked as a script coordinator, which is kind of like a junior writer on like 9 seasons of various things.
Wow.
And done some production work as well, and produced a little web series, and now I'm doing the podcast and the YouTube channel and various other things. So I sort of transitioned to more behind the scenes stuff. And then the Hotel Transylvania thing, that was like, I was script coordinating for Hotel Transylvania, the series. And so in the writing room, I guess this role came up and they were like, why don't we just let Mike do it? Like Mike's an actor. And so it was just kind of like a fun thing to do. I wasn't like actively looking for acting roles too much anymore, but yeah, because I was in the writing room, I ended up getting to play Davis, who is sort of Mavis's doppelganger or something like that. Yeah, it was so yeah, it was the gap in that way is because I sort of pulled back from the acting and started doing more writing and behind the scenes stuff.
Now, I know you still have done a few things like in the last couple of years, like on screen, and obviously clearly the voice work, but I know you're doing a lot more writing. Are you still pulling back away from the acting and diving headfirst into the writing more so and behind the scenes type thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think
the podcast also helps of you being technically still on screen in a way as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing that I didn't like about acting is that you're so reliant, like you're literally waiting by the phone or nowadays by the email to get an audition, right? And so like if the email doesn't come, like what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right. And so that was like, for me, I was like, well, if I'm writing, I can always write a new script, pitch a new project. Like it gives me, I feel more motivated to do that. And also I just like the craft of writing. I've written, tons of pilots and things like that. And it's like really interesting to get in the heads of characters. And I think my acting background actually helps with that because I can sort of be like, oh, like, I don't know. I guess I just have a actor's perspective that I can like draw on when I'm writing stuff. And then, when I want to be on camera, I do these little sketches on YouTube. I do like little comedy shorts on YouTube. I have the podcast that I just started called the Descenso Zone that I talk about creativity and business and health and all sorts of different things. So I get to be on camera there. I still audition from time to time. I still have my I have my literary agent, but then I also have my acting agent. So I still audition for things from time to time, but it's really not my focus. Like I'm much more interested in sort of producing, developing, creating stuff, and most recently the podcast and the YouTube stuff.
Before I get into your podcast, one question about writing is, what do you find more difficult to write? Drama and like serious or comedy?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's something that I've thought about a lot. I mean, I just finished writing a pilot that's an hour long, like action thriller with like maybe one or two jokes in them. And so that was a really big challenge for me because I'd never really written, like most of the stuff I write is in the comedy or tween or cartoon kind of space. And I wanted to challenge myself and write something different. So yeah, I wrote that and I found it really fun and really rewarding. Is it harder than comedy? I don't know. I think comedy's pretty hard because especially when you're by yourself, you're sort of in a vacuum. Like I've written like, I don't know, 200 or something crazy, like YouTube little sketches that I make, like little YouTube shorts. And you never like, some of them do really well and then some of them don't. And you're like, well, it's hard to know what's funny when you're just a guy in your kitchen. You know what I mean?
It's making you laugh, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'll make everyone else laugh. Yeah.
And like some of them, people tell me like, oh, dude, this was so funny. This was great. And that's a really nice, like little confidence boost. But you got to try stuff. Like if you don't try it, you'll never figure it out. And so there's like a rhythm as well to like comedy that like, if you can tune into that frequency, you can like at least have a structure for how things go. Like so much of comedy is surprise and like if you can put in a little twist in the sketch or like a little verbal like pun or joke or twist or something that sort of just like makes you go, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Like that's a really good metric usually for like, oh, this is actually funny. And then there's also just like behavioral comedy, physical comedy. There's all these different types of comedy that you can explore. And so I have a lot of fun doing that on my channel and just like trying different stuff. And the cool thing with the YouTube shorts is you can loop. So like you make a video that will sort of loop into itself. So the beginning ties into the end. You don't really know where it starts or where it ends. And I found that's really fun. And a lot of the videos that I make like that have performed pretty well. So yeah, there's all these different like versions of what you can do, and you just have so much freedom. So that's like a really cool like creative outlet for me.
I remember Vine was big on, like, there were a lot of creators on Vine
Yeah.
that would do that looping thing, and I noticed it coming back on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts as well. I remember on TikTok, like in the early days when it switched from Musical.ly to TikTok, it didn't used to have like the line underneath the show, like the going through the video, so people were doing it a lot more then because like you wouldn't know it was the beginning of the video again that we went back. But now they have that like buffer line of like, okay, the video's over now and it restarted type thing. So yeah, I just think of Vine when you bring that up. Now I want to talk about your podcast because of course the Descenso Zone, which is I don't know why I have a tough time saying it. Anyway,
It's hard to say. Don't feel bad. It's hard.
You know a lot of people like in the industry and just like creative people in general. And like what I like about your show is that like you're not tied to like one certain thing. It's kind of like creativity, but like creativity is so big. So where did you come up and just like one day decide, I just want to talk to like interesting people type thing?
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, like I've already been doing it. Like so much of the TV and film industry specifically is like networking, and so like I was constantly like taking people out for lunch or coffee or hanging out, having discussions about craft or work or whatever. And I was like, those are the conversations I really enjoyed, and I figured if I'm having these conversations anyway, we might as well do the podcast. So yeah, I have a lot of friends and colleagues who've come on. I mean, it's just started. I've only released 3 or 4 episodes now, but I have a lot in the pipeline. So yeah, it's cool because I get to do the podcast and like talk to all these interesting people. But also it's a spot for me to do the shorts. It's a spot where my web series headliners live. So it's like all my stuff is kind of in this one place on the Descenso Zone, TDZ for short, if it's too hard to say.
There we go. TDZ.
And yeah, so it's like, it's a really cool little project that I've started recently, and I'm really excited for it. I had Steve Scrovan on, who was the one of the head writers of Everybody Loves Raymond. I've had some comedians on. I even have some other, it's not all entertainment stuff too. It's like I have a person coming on to talk about like health, and I have a naturopath coming on to talk to me about like natural remedies versus like medicinal health. I have an HR person come on to talk to me about like hiring and how to get best practices. So I really want to try and bring a lot of value to listeners and explore a bunch of different domains that are of interest to me and hopefully of interest to other people too.
Yeah, and at the time they're recording this, you just dropped an episode a couple of days ago with a couple magicians. So it's like you really are like, it is every like all walks of life that you're having on there, which is really cool. Like I said, you're not tying yourself to like one avenue and like sticking to that one and being stuck there.
Yeah, and also it's just like, where did my interest take me? Like I'm a big magic nerd. I had a love for magic growing up, and I like would perform little card tricks, and I made like David Blaine like spoof videos in high school that they like played on the announcements and stuff. Like I loved magic growing up. So yeah, I've been I was excited to talk to them. They're like really cool magic husband and wife team.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really just a lot of stuff that I find interesting, and hopefully there's enough people in the world that also find that stuff interesting.
Well, and dude, that's literally why I do this show. Cause like I said earlier, like no one misses being a kid more than me. So like being able to talk to people that like helped shape my childhood, of like, if I watch them on TV, I listen to their music. I watched them on YouTube when it was like the Shoes guy and Philip DeFranco when I was a kid watching on YouTube. So like being able to do something like this has been really cool because like, I don't know. I like it brings me back to that feeling of being a kid and being able to chat with people like you. So it's really cool. The last thing I got for you, and I ask everybody this, and I didn't mention it to you earlier because I want to catch you off guard is
Okay.
What's one thing you miss most about being a kid?
Oh, dude, that's a great question. So much. I feel like when you're a kid, you really don't take advantage of being a kid. Like I remember being a kid and being like, oh, I can't wait to like be an adult. But dude, being an adult sucks.
So dumb. Why did we think that? So stupid.
Being a kid is the best. I mean, the feeling of, I think the thing I miss the most about being a kid is the little feelings that you don't get as an adult anymore. Like the feeling of waking up on a school day and you're like, it might be a snow day today. Yes. Like that feeling was really cool. the feeling of like getting home from school and then watching Pokemon at 4:30 and Dragon Ball Z at 5, and like having your little schedule. So there's just like little things, I think. And it was weird for me too as a kid, because I mean, I spent a lot of time working. But there was just, I feel like there's just so much more freedom to sort of play.
Yes.
And that's, I think, what I'm really grasping at with this YouTube channel stuff, because it's like the sketches for me feel like play again, and the podcast feels like play. And sort of what you're saying too. It's like it takes you back to that time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that's what I probably miss the most.
Feeling. I love that. It's like the feeling of like a girl you like liking you back.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know that's a great, you're the first person to have an answer like that. I love that answer.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Unreal. Well, dude, Mike, this was unbelievable, man. Like, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you letting me ask you all these silly questions the past over hour. So
yeah, no worries.
Yeah, man. Thank you again. Obviously, we're gonna link your show in the description there for everyone to check it out. Make sure they subscribe. And yeah, thank you again, dude. I really appreciate it.
That's great, man. Thanks. It was fun.
I'll have to get you again sometime when the Naturally Sadie reboot happens.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, Mike. I'll see you later.
All right.
And that was the Quinn Marr Show.